All right, UFC 281, without a shadow of a doubt, the people's main event is Michael Chandler versus Dustin Poirier. Last time out a year ago, Michael Chandler versus Justin Gaethje put on a fight that you had to be there to truly believe it. Even watching it on TV, you didn't get to experience the absolute violence that those guys displayed for us. It was sensational. And that is what Michael Chandler has provided since he signed with the UFC. He's been phenomenal. He's been non-stop action. He's been kill or be killed. But he needs a win streak. It's as simple as that. Listen, he came, he knocked out Dan Hooker, then he got a shot at the belt, and he got knocked out himself. Then he lost to Justin Gaethje. Amazing fights, all of them. I'm sure he got a bonus for all of them. And last time out against Tony Ferguson, he looked bloody fantastic. Yes, he got dropped, but then he double-legged him right across the octagon, and then the next round, front kicked him in the face. But he said, I'm here for a good time. I'm not here for a long time. And listen, so far we are enjoying his work. That is without a shadow of a doubt. But the pressure is on. Michael Chandler's 36 years old. Dustin Poirier is a very, very formidable opponent. If you look at the common fight that they have, well, they both got beat off Charles Oliveira, but look at the fight with Justin Gaethje. Dustin Poirier was able to finish Justin Gaethje in round 4 by using the hands. The boxing on display was absolutely beautiful. The way he would glide in and out was sensational. The footwork was beautiful. He would glide into the pocket, bang, 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 land a few shots, then pivot off, step away on the angles, pivoting, lateral movement, side to side, perpetual motion. And that is very, very important when you're fighting a wrestler. If you're moving a lot, it's hard for your opponent to shoot and grab a hold of you. If you're moving and they shoot in a straight line, they're shooting into fresh air. So for Michael Chandler, if he is going to wrestle, which some of his colleagues, Beneil Dariush, think that he should, then what he needs to do is use the hands, back Dustin Poirier up against the fence. From there, throw a few shots, bang, 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 clinch. Try and go for a body lock, an over and under. From there, drop down, grab a single leg, work to a double leg, back to the single. If you can push him up against the fence, you can get your hands behind the ass, join your hands together, pick them up, put them down. You've got body locks, you've got all kinds of takedowns against the fence. It's a little bit easier. Well, it's easier to defend, but it's easier to get a hold if you're against the fence. Poirier's going to dance around, he's going to move around, he's going to make it hard for Chandler to wrestle. But Beneil Dariush, he weighed in on this situation, and here is what he had to say. He said, if Chandler fights smart, he should be able to win this fight. But I think Chandler right now is so focused on being exciting, so focused on being entertaining to the fans, that he puts himself in really bad situations. I think that if he went out there and plays a very conservative striking game, a lot of wrestling, he should be able to pull this off. But in reality, I think Dustin Poirier is going to end up winning this fight because Chandler is going to be more than what he needs to be. He's going to try and be more than what he needs to be. I think he's going to end up losing the fight because of that. So there's Beneil Dariush saying that Chandler could wrestle his way to victory, but he won't because he likes to put on exciting fights. Certainly that will play into the hands of Dustin Poirier. He's going to welcome a stand-up affair. But I don't know. I saw something from Michael Chandler, and here's what he had to say about here. He's talking about wrestling, he's talking about Islam, he's talking about fighting Islam for the belt, and he's talking about how American wrestling is better than Dagestani wrestling. Here's what he said. He said, I want Islam to talk about me. I want to talk about Islam. I do think that I have the best wrestling on the rankings list that you're looking at. I have the best wrestling. Good, old-fashioned, passionate, American, D1 All-American wrestling. And I do believe that I can shut down Islam and I can beat him. Do I deserve a title shot with a win over Poirier? That remains to be seen. It depends on my performance. And it also depends on what the UFC brass want to do. Either way, I'm going to be ready. Then he continued, listen, I've trained a lot of wrestling. I've got wrestling in my back pocket. If you saw my career before I came into the UFC, I used it a lot. A lot of dominant takedowns, slams, beating up guys on the ground. When I took Tony Ferguson down, he didn't move. When I took down a lot of guys before, they didn't move. Like Charles Oliveira. They cannot get out from underneath me. So I don't say this to impress anybody and toot my own horn. But in that realm, I feel great. In that realm, I can control guys. In that realm, I can drown guys, and I can put on a lot of pressure and put them in places that they don't want to be in. Is that going to be a part of this fight? Possibly, we'll see. But it's definitely a place that I feel confident and dominant against not just Dustin Poirier, but everybody in the lightweight division, including Islam Makhachev. Right, so there is some fighting words for sure from Michael Chandler. And absolutely, the smart path to victory for him, he says it himself. Beneil Dariush says it himself. And anybody that can wrestle would say it as well. He's got to use the wrestling in this fight. If he doesn't, I think Poirier outboxes him. I think he's better on the feet. Look at those knockouts against Conor McGregor. The first knockout was sensational. All right, the second one, he snapped his leg. The knockout. Pardon me, Conor fans. Sometimes you guys come after me like fucking maniacs. But listen, that first one, well, the second one against Conor in Abu Dhabi, you know the one I'm talking about. It was a beautiful display. Put him out. It was just a vicious display of boxing. Chandler wants to fight for the belt. Chandler knows he needs to get on a win streak. He hasn't done that yet in the UFC. He beat Dan Hooker, then he lost to Gage and Oliveira, and then he just beat Tony Ferguson. If he really wants to fight for the belt, he has to beat Dustin Poirier. And if he wants to be known as one of the greats, he has to beat Dustin Poirier. Michael Chandler coming into this one is kind of in a weird place because yes, he has been a legend. The fights have been phenomenal. The fight against Justin Gage last year at MSG, it was mind-blowing. The atmosphere in that building was like nothing you've ever seen. I was there live. It was fucking ridiculous. But guess what? Chandler lost the fight. Justin Gage goes down in the history books. And MMA fans are fickle. In this sport, you're only as good as your last fight. In this sport, you're only as good as your last fight. And regardless of how good that fight was, if you lost, you're a loser. And if you want to fight for the belt, you've got to be a winner, right? And he's laying it out there. Michael Chandler's great on the microphone, right? And he's going to call out Islam Makhachev if he gets a chance. We've seen him. He's had some epic call-outs on the microphone. But if he doesn't win the fight, he doesn't get to speak on the microphone. But if he does win and he gets the mic, he's going to call out Islam Makhachev. He's going to set it down. He's going to say, listen, I want to test your wrestling. This is D1, All-American Wrestling versus the Dagestani wrestling. I want to prove that my style is better than yours and put a nail in that coffin that the Americans can beat the Dagestanis. But guess what? He doesn't get a chance to do that if he doesn't win the fight. So Dustin Poirier better have worked his takedown defense. Now listen, as Mike Tyson says, okay, everyone's got a game plan until you get punched in the face. Well, that's if you're an undisciplined dickhead. Okay, if you get punched in the face, that's kind of what you expect. And when Chandler gets punched in the face, because he will, he needs to stick to the game plan. He needs to go for the takedowns. He needs to go for the clinches because Dustin Poirier has got better, technical, faster hands. I might say Chandler's maybe got more power. You know, he does look very, very powerful. He certainly hits hard as well. But it's not like Dustin Poirier can't crack an egg. Okay, this fight, I can't wait for it. And absolutely, I'm very, very excited by it. But I think we're going to see Chandler go out there and try and wrestle Poirier to the ground and hold him there and then get on the microphone and lay the gauntlet down for Islam Makhachev. Anyway, what do you think? Who wins? Poirier, Chandler? I think Poirier. TKO round 3. But if Chandler wrestles, it might be a very, very different fight altogether. But we haven't spoke about this one too much. I know I did a video on it last week, but I'm telling you, Poirier, this guy's unbelievable. Yes, he's flogging his hot sauce. He's keeping quiet. He is focused on the fight because he wants to fight Islam as well. Granted, I will say this. I would say that Chandler's probably got a better chance against Islam than what Poirier does, you know, because of the wrestling side of things. But still, anyway, I'm rambling about a completely other topic. I'm doing a live Saturday. Live show, prelims, watch party, fight companion style type thing. It'll be while the Fight Pass prelims are on, I'll be doing live. I'll be answering your questions and watching along. So make sure you come along and join in the fun. Thanks for watching. Who do you think's going to win? Subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't done so. Let me know in the comments. Take it easy.